So welcome today. Today we're going to be doing training on how to create your own custom ChatGPT for your business. I'm Andrew Eckstrom, and I'm a managing partner at Succurri. We are an IT services and consulting company based out of Everett, Washington. We provide services throughout the Western United States, specifically in Montana and Arizona, as well as Washington State. As a disclaimer, this information is provided for educational purposes only, so this doesn't constitute a legally binding contract or legal advice in any way. So today we're going to be talking about the process of creating your own GPT. We're going to have some use cases and examples and a summary. And for the audience today, this is a technical training session. Not that it should be like overwhelming for anyone, but it is definitely technical versus more conceptual. So for a lot of people, ChatGPT and AI in general has become a hot topic. And so one of the things that is emerging as a really important use for ChatGPT and AI is to create your own models. And the reason this is important is that when you create your own GPT model, it remembers very specific things that you've told it to remember, which gives it the ability to output really specific information that has a rich content or high value for yourself. And so there's a bunch of use cases we'll talk about, but ultimately we've got to start at the beginning. So we're going to start first with ChatGPT as our example here. And so let's bring that up. Actually, shoot, we're going to have to cut this out because I have lost access to my mouse. There it is. 1 second here. Okay, that's not a good way to do that. Sorry, it's really throwing me off.
That's all right. There you go. I see it.
Okay, perfect. So this is ChatGPT. The only difference that I have here is I actually have a paid account, which lets me create my own GPT models. I would recommend that for almost anybody, just have a paid GPT account. I'm using ChatGPT's 4.0 version. And when you have paid for your subscription, which I have as Plus, then you get access to this custom GPTs section. So if you click on that, you get to your GPT menu and you can create your own GPTs by coming up here to the upper right-hand corner. So I'll click on create. And this is the mode where we will create those GPT models. And it's really important for you to understand the difference. So this mode is where we modify the GPT, we train it, we feed it, we correct its behavior, and we can ask it questions here. You can actually do everything in this mode, but if you are only in the standard mode, which is questions, you can only ask questions from here, and I'll show you how that works here in just a second. But we're going to get into creating the. So what you'll do in the creation screen here is you're going to tell the GPT or ChatGPT what we're creating today. So we are just going to create today some marketing information. Our goal is to create rich marketing content for our company. So what we're going to tell it today is some information about what we want to do. So we're going to tell it that, and one of the things to be aware of is there's a command called add to your behavior. That's the command that lets you ChatGPT remember what you're requesting and how let you remember everything you're adding it. So in the creation screen, you don't have to use it, but we'll use it a bunch here coming up. So we're going to tell ChatGPT, this GPT is for marketing at my company called Succurri. And it can be as simple or as complex as you want. You can only have this is called the initial instructions. You can only have the initial instructions be 8,000 characters. So I would say keep it pretty short. So we've told this GPT what we're going to do. I'm going to come up into the upper right. Actually, I'm going to send it this command. So by hitting the arrow key, you can see it's updating the GPT by showing this little pink or purple wrench. It's telling you it's updating, and then it's going to give you some information back. So it's going to ask you questions, and you can answer if you want. What I'm looking for, though, is the ability to actually to create the GPT, and we're going to name it. It wants to be called Succurri Marketing Assistant, so that's fine. You have to name the GPT. So I'm going to tell it yes, that's fine. And it wants to create a profile picture because it likes to have art associated, right? We all like art with our stuff we're doing. And that's a fancy logo it created. So once you've given the GPT its initial instructions, which I told it was a marketing campaign or marketing GPT, it has a name and now it has its picture. Up here in the upper right-hand corner, the create button turns black versus before it was gray. And so when you hit create, you're going to be given the ability to access this GPT only by me. I can share a link with anybody, or I can upload it to the GPT store. When you're starting out, I would just say only you is the direction you want to go. So I clicked on that. You hit save. And this is a really critical step, because I've seen folks who will skip this step and then they run out of commands because it's actually never saved. They just keep telling it to do stuff. So we've created the GPT, and now we are going to be able to move on to the next phase. So we'll go through our PowerPoint here for a second. So we've done some navigating to the GPT. We created the GPT and provided its initial instructions. We created and saved it. And we're going to talk now about the add your behavior command as we go further. So the first thing with a GPT is you need to feed it. And feeding a GPT specifically relates to giving it lots of raw information. I'm going to show you a couple of techniques that we use, and then you'll have to feed your own GPT, but we feed it websites, content from recordings and videos, and various different books. And so we'll get started on that here in 1 second. So in the GPT, we're going to give it a website to go to. So because this is Succurri, we're going to go to Succurri's website. I'm going to copy the URL or the address for Succurri's website, and I'm going to tell the ChatGPT to read that page and to absorb that information. So here's the command I would use. Add to your behavior the following websites. So I'll put in Succurri, and then we can add, you can actually add multiple at one time. So I'll show you how I would do that as an example here. So let's say I wanted to get a bunch of websites and only make this one command. So I would take a notepad or something. I would put one of the websites first. I then come back to Succurri. Let's say I want to deep dive into the IT support page. I copy that page again. I add it to my list. Let's say I want to do industry solutions. And remember, the tricky thing here is it's only one page at a time. So you do have to be fairly specific, copy lots of pages. I have found that ChatGPT can only absorb about 10 pages at a time. So you have to kind of watch what you're doing there. So I'm going to copy these. I come back to ChatGPT, and I'm going to give it all of these pages. So what it's going to do, it's going to read all of those at one time and absorb that. So I just hit enter. It's updating the GPT. And in a second here, it'll come back and it will give me a summary of what it found on Succurri's webpage. And it also gives some suggestions of like how it would communicate and so forth. So that's one way. I would find feeding at web pages is extremely important. It really is a very speedy process. The next thing you can do is you can feed ChatGPT files and content by coming down here to the chat box and clicking on the plus sign and choosing add files, photos and files, which can be from your own computer, or you can choose to add from apps, so like Google Drive, OneDrive, and so forth. But ultimately, what you're looking to do here is add content, Word documents, videos, transcripts, ebooks, full-on books if you have those. That's how you feed your GPT, and it becomes a much more rich experience for that GPT. So we'll flip back to the PowerPoint here. So like I talked about, provide the GPT with raw data, websites, recordings, videos, books, very good content. Something to be aware of, ChatGPT doesn't know how to read video, or like doesn't know how to listen to videos or recordings. So you'll have to use a different AI that can actually output those. But there's tons of them that do that. So ultimately ChatGPT does best when it's text. So we'll need to also teach ChatGPT to be an expert. And so in this situation, we're teaching ChatGPT, or we're building this GPT to be a marketing tool for us. And so we need to teach it marketing best practices so that it knows how to handle itself best in a marketing environment. So what we'll do here is we'll come back to ChatGPT, and we're going to go to our website, and what we're going to do is look up like marketing best practices. And I would say you'd want to look for an authoritative source. If you're in that industry, or if you have an expert in that industry, Tony, you're a marketing expert, so you'd probably know exactly where to go. But let's just say that Hanover Research's guide for best practices and insight. Actually, it's journey mapping. Let's see here. 10 effective marketing strategies. Let's pretend that this is the definitive source on marketing best practices. So we come and we tell ChatGPT, add to your behavior following marketing best practices. from this website. And so now I'm going to teach it to be an expert at marketing. I'm not an expert at marketing, but it will now be an expert at marketing. If you're a physician, it may be that it needs to read medical textbooks. If you're an accountant, it may need that it needs to learn the CPA exam. It's up to each industry on what a best practice is. I had a customer ask me about creating an outline for her like class she was teaching for a college, and there's a best practice for creating a lesson plan. So we added stuff there. So as you can see, the information's now been added. Now the ChatGPT is an expert at what it's doing, and so we will move on to the next phase. So we need to tell ChatGPT your why. Why are you creating this model? And these are things that are very important. You want to provide a high-level overview of your why. You want to include maybe your mission statement. You want to be passionate, right? Describe why you're doing this. You want to let the GPT know how you think you're going to impact and change the world with doing these different tasks. And so if we go back to our GPT, this is really going to be up to each individual, but I'm hoping that if you're creating the GPT, you have some vision for what you want to do. So we're gonna talk a little bit about why this, we're gonna tell the ChatGPT why this is important. So I'm gonna say add to your behavior that, let's see here, add your behavior, the reason for this GPT is to help Succurri create compelling marketing content for its website, emails, and social media. So I could get much more in detail about that, and you should. Like, you really want to dive in. This will help enrich, but for the sake of the time on the call, we're going to keep it pretty simple. And so the GPT is now once again updating. It's got its little purple wrench moving around. And in a second, it will come back to confirm that it has received that purpose, and now it has restated it. So we know we're good to go there. So we're going to come back to, oops, we skipped there for a second. So we were talking about our why. Now we need to talk about our who. So this is a really important thing to define your target, right? Is that your ideal customer? Is it to have some sort of outcome that you're looking for? Like you want to have it do a processing of a math equation or do code. So in this case, we're going to be talking about our who. So the who in this case would be the potential customers, potential customers for Succurri. So we'll talk about that with our GPT. So once again, add to your behavior that Succurri's ideal customer is located in Washington, Montana, and Dona. They are a business with 5 to 50 employees. They use computers. And so I'm obviously not being very detailed. I would potentially have like several paragraphs of what I would consider the ideal customer profile. For sake of use, I would also tell it that, like in my case, ICP stands for ideal customer profile, and I'll reference that again here. So let's see here, ICP stands for ideal customer profile. So I'm going to update the GPT again, and it's going to now become more aware of what the target market is, or ideal customer profile. And it should come back within a second, just letting me know that it's received that information, and then it's added it to its purpose. And so now it's done that. So then we need to talk about the how. How are we going to accomplish our goal? So we need to tell it a little bit about our organization. We need to provide an outline of what we're going to do. And we need to be specific about the steps. So one of the most critical parts of working with AI is that AI is not an expert in everything yet. We're the experts. And so we need to map out to AI what the process is. So when we're telling it our how, we're basically telling ChatGPT what excellence looks like for this specific situation. So I'm going to bring this back up here. So we're going to tell ChatGPT how we're going to work through these. So I'm going to add to your behavior that Succurri will use, marketing content. Let's see here, we'll use our website, email, and social media to notify our ICPs of the services we provide. Material needs to, let's see here, the GPT will produce content and it needs to be compelling. So we'll add that to the GPT's behavior again. Once again, that would probably be multiple paragraphs. It might take actually a couple of times. You don't have just one shot. You can continue to add to its behavior. You can fine tune topics. You can tell it to remember or erase things. What I would tell you though is like the more you are comprehensive about this, the more you're going to get value from the GPT when we're at the end here. So also we want to tell the GPT about the pain points that we are experiencing, right? We're making this GPT to solve a problem. So we need to tell the GPT what problems we're experiencing and how it's going to solve those. So for me, like in this case, we might tell it about the symptoms that our customers experience, the roadblocks that are preventing them from moving forward, the urgency or the impact that those roadblocks have to our customers. We might provide examples of things being done incorrectly, in our organization or a competing organization that are causing these problems. I mean, this is really storytelling. It doesn't have to be technical. You can just free flow tell ChatGPT about your thoughts. Pretend like you're having a cocktail party conversation with ChatGPT. Just be very flexible. It's really good at understanding what you're telling it. So we're going to go back here and tell it some information about Succurri's pain points. So for us, it would be the pain points would be for our customers. So we'll add to your behavior that Succurri's customers experience poor, not our customers, sorry. Succurri's customers, let's see here. We have to bear that Succurri provides services to businesses and solves IT-related problems. People come, so let's see here. So the ideal customer profile, ICP for Succurri initially has significant, spelling is not my gift, but we'll spell check it. So obviously a very simple statement. The people that come to Succurri experience all kinds of IT problems that Succurri solves for them. But we just want, for example case, to say something very simple. So for your own organization, you're probably, once again, multiple paragraphs, a whole page. You might update that several times as you think about it. So we'll start the process of having it absorb that information. And so now the ChatGPT knows that Succurri solves problems that are related to IT, and that our ideal customer profile comes to us with problems that are IT related. And so we want to make sure we're defining that. The next thing we do is, how do we do it differently, right? Like if what we're doing, everyone already does successfully, how do we differentiate ourselves? And in many industries, the skill sets, the services, the products that are delivered have been commoditized. And so you have to differentiate yourself through different ways. And so it's important that your GPT model knows this, because the differentiation is going to be one of the roots of why people would want to come to you, and why, in this case, the marketing would be compelling to them. So you're going to tell them, how do you solve the problem? What's your vision that for delivering these products and services? You're going to provide details to the GPT model on how you solve the problems, right? The more it knows, the more effective and enriched its content can be. You want to let it know why you're the only person or you're the only organization that can do this. And then you want to outline why people come to you, like the problems you solved. And so we'll come back into ChatGPT and we'll talk about differentiation. So once again, this could be paragraphs or pages. We'll keep it pretty simple. So I'll start with ads to your here that Succurri provides excellent customer service. Succurri's competitors don't always provide the same level of service. One of the things I would tell you now is, this is not the time to be humble. This is the time to really lay it out there, maybe even stretch things a little bit on how your business delivers, because it's really important that ChatGPT, because it understands extremes, right? It wants absolutes. And so you want ChatGPT to know that you are the best business, or you have the best program, or you make the best product, because it will believe that when you tell it that's the case. And then if you tell it how your competitors don't quite qualify up to you, that will help it in determining how to make a compelling content for that. So I'm just going to send this information in, and it will start to process it here shortly. We don't have to wait for it. We'll skip over to the next slide. So then we want to let ChatGPT know what success looks like. So when you can tell it what success looks like, specifically what the results are that you're looking for from this GPT model, it'll be much more likely to give you what you're looking for. So really be specific. Provide it with examples. Tell it the format you want that output. Is it text format? Is it a PDF file? Is it a web page? Is it a picture? Is it a book? Is it an outline? Whatever that might be. If you can provide it with ways to measure its own performance, such as like key performance indicators, you can give it a range. Let's say it's a number, or you can tell it has to look a certain way. The more you give it, the more successful it will be. So we'll go in and tell ChatGPT what success looks like for us from a marketing camp. So we'll come down here. So once again, add to your behavior that success for this GPT is to provide compelling marketing content for websites, emails, and social media. It will focus on defining how Succurri does an excellent job of delivering services. Once again, you would probably have this be multiple paragraphs, pages, and so forth, but you just have to get it so it knows what it looks for, because now every piece of content that it provides me is going to be based on that criteria. So we'll swing back here while it's updating, and we'll move to the next section. So now we're getting close to the end, which is great. Now we've, in the last 20 minutes, we've done some feeding, the creation of this GPT. Now we're going to start to get the real value back. But before we do that, we do have to do some validation and quality assurance. ChatGPT, AIs in general, they're in their infancy. So although they're highly capable of providing information and they can do things that seem extremely sophisticated, they're not perfect by any stretch. When they're wrong, they think they're 100% right. And so human validation and quality assurance is really important. So we do that through a couple of things. We ask it to summarize information. We verify that that information looks right. And then we confirm that information and update where it's wrong. And so we want to make sure that's a huge important step, and oftentimes people will skip it because they assume it looks good. You really want to read every little bit of output that you get from ChatGPT, because it could be wrong for one word that throws everything off. So we're going to come back here and we're going to ask it to summarize, because I don't have to add to behavior right now. I'm getting information back out of it. So summarize what the goals are for this GPT. And so it'll think for a second, it'll come back with information. So I see create a compelling marketing content, promote Succurri services, support brand consistency, engage the ideal customer profile. All of these things are true. I would like that. Differentiate, apply market best practices. So all of that looks good. And I would read it in great detail. So then the next thing that we need to do is make sure that it's also generating content that we expect it to generate. So we're going to come back here now, and actually we'll do some prompts first. So if you've worked with AI, you have to ask a question, and questions are basically prompts. And so crafting really good prompts is how you get really high quality results. So like I said, if you create a prompt that's well crafted, you'll get successful results out of ChatGPT. You want to be verbose, you want to be specific, and you want to be targeted as far as what you're looking for. I put some examples in here. You'll see me use one, but I'll read them off because I think it's helpful to see the words I use. So in this case, I said, create a compelling marketing proposal for our ICP that targets their industry pain points, highlight our solutions and how we deliver better results. I said, create 3 succinct social media posts, right? So I said succinct, which tells the ChatGPT, keep it small. This isn't a 3-page social media post. It's a paragraph at most. Previously, I said compelling. So it would be a document, and it would be output that would entice someone to want to read more. One other example I said is create an SOP or standard operating procedure that outlines the process to correct issues with, insert your issue, like our machine tools, format that SOP as a downloadable PDF file. I mean, the prompts are endless, but the more detailed you get, the more specific, the more verbose, then the better your results will be. And so we're going to come back to ChatGPT. I'll use a similar one as far as the marketing that I just used. So let's see here. So this is now we're starting to get to validation of the output. So create a social media campaign formatted for LinkedIn that consists 3 posts. Each post will highlight one of Succurri's attributes. Focus on the reasons why an ICP would want to engage with us. So this is a pretty simple one. There's not a ton of content in this GPT yet, so we'll see what it comes back with. So you can see here it's generating its results. This bar, this arrow, or this bar moves up and down. It's still creating its results. So we have our first post: reliable IT solutions that actually work. We just want our IT to work. And it came through and it gave a whole bunch of text that I didn't give it, but it made intuitive leaps based upon the information I provided. And that's where the magic of GPT, ChatGPT, and AI in general is. It has this whole knowledge library that is in addition to what you've told it. So it can really expand upon things. So we'll just look at the other 2 that it provided. Customer service that stands out. It's rare for an IT company that actually picks up the phone. I mean, why would it have said that, right? Like, did we add that into the content? The third post: a smarter IT provider for growing your business. I didn't tell it about a growing business, but it made assumptions that Succurri can help businesses from 50 employees. Probably is pulling this information from our website, which is really why the feeding of the GPT is so critical at the beginning. And so as you can see here, we basically have 3 social media posts that were created within seconds, that it took 20 minutes to build this GPT, but now that GPT can be used forever. You just continue to feed it, you continue to pull content out of it, and instead of it being an hour for you to wordsmith and create these posts on your own, you just ask ChatGPT to take care of it for you, and then you post those, you schedule your post, and it goes on social media. Website content is the same, email content is the same. So it's a very easy process once you've got it all set up. So we actually skipped this, we didn't go through the stage, but I showed you what it is. So the content, that's what we've been waiting for. You do want to verify the content matches what you're looking for. So this is where AI can get tricky. It may say things that aren't in your voice. It may say things that are contradictory to what you would believe. So you do have to read the content very, very carefully. You are ultimately putting your name on it. You can make corrections as needed. And then if you find something that you like, you should copy and paste it out of the GPT into like a Word document or a Notepad document, because ChatGPT will never give you the same content. It will always be asking and trying and doing different things. So I'm going to show you an example of modifying this output. So we're going to say update the last post to include, or see here, to focus only on the Everett market. So we're going to see what happens, and it'll come back and it'll make this Everett focus. And although it's very similar to the previous post, it's never exactly the same. And I have seen it where the ChatGPT will come back with just radically different stuff. So let's say we've looked through these, we've felt that its voice matched our voice, it follows our quality requirements. And so what we would do is just copy this, and then we would paste it into another document. So that's really, you've now just created content with ChatGPT, and it took you about 25 minutes. So there are several use cases. They grow every day. So creating GPTs to build standard operating procedures. You can take your instructional manuals. You can put in content. One of the things that we're doing is we're recording our staff training sessions, and then we're using that output to create SOPs, working on building knowledge base from various conversations. So once again, I might have conversations with my leaders in my organization, and we'll take a transcript of that conversation. We'll dump it into a GPT that is a knowledge base or a tribal knowledge base. And then it can be used to create those standard operating procedures. It can be used to create documentation. Your staff can use it to actually query the GPT and get potentially answers back that look very similar to what you would have answered back. So, if you are an owner or a business leader and you're getting peppered with questions from employees of how do you address this? How do we deal with this situation? it usually is because we don't have time to document and create procedures. This is how you do it. So the one thing you do have to have a habit for is whenever you have a conversation, you record it. If its content is relevant, you just copy and paste that into your GPT model right away and you move on. You don't worry about making it pretty or anything. You just get it in there so it's content. It can also be used to create business plans. Business plans are fairly generic, but you can give it teach it a generic business plan template and then tell it about what you want to do. It can create coaching programs. So are you an expert in something and you want to teach other people about it? There's formats for coaching programs and templates. And then you can just start to fill it with the content you find successful. Creating an instructional curriculum. Like I said before, I have a professor that was creating a lesson plan. It can be used to create website content and social media posts, which we just did. Oops, so that is not supposed to be there. So as we start to wrap up, Succurri produces a ton of awesome content on a regular basis. We put it in several places. So one would be our YouTube site. One was LinkedIn, and then also our Succurri blog on our webpage. If you'd like to get a hold of me, I'd be happy to chat with you. My email address is here, or you can scan the QR code to generate an email, and we'll be happy to get you access to some of our ebooks, schedule a consultation with you, or even give you a copy of the slide deck. So thank you very much for your time. It's greatly appreciated, and looking forward to seeing you the next time. Have a good day.